In the headlines, government signs contracts for multiple housing projects already underway on the island. Police investigate incident in Soufriere on Saturday, which left UWP candidate Dr. Sam Christian injured. And former Member of Parliament for the Lapling constituency, Hesketh Alexander, has died. I'm Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, Government and the Montreal Management Consultancy Establishment, MMCE, held a signing ceremony for construction of homes in Picard, Cotton Hill, Georgetown, and the Rosa City Square on Monday.
Work has already begun in a number of those areas earmarked for residential buildings. 66 units will be constructed in La Plaine, Saint-Sauveur, Grand Fond, Castle Bruce, and Delis. The same number will be constructed in Georgetown, Picard, and Cotton Hill. The Rosa City Square project will comprise 120 units. 340 residential units are currently being completed in Belleville-Chopin. Addressing Monday's signing ceremony, Deputy Prime Minister Reginald Austrie said the housing project at Belleville-Chopin, being undertaken by MMCE, was historic.
This project is well on its way. And as I understand, within the next 2 or 3 weeks, the first 40 units will be ready for handing over to the residents of Petite Savane. And we're now here today signing this agreement. Not very often you hear about a project so far in advance and months and years after you're signing the agreement. And that, to me, demonstrates the astute negotiating skills of our Prime Minister added to his vision. And I believe that we have to give him the round of applause for this. Yeah, you see, because we can all have visions, we can all dream, but at the end of the day, converting those dreams to reality, that is where it matters. And this signing here is the conversion of a dream, the conversion of a vision by the PM to reality, which probably at the time he probably had no monies for doing it, but he knew that he was going to source the money, he could find the money. And today, if you go to Belleville, you will see a real living testimony of a dream and a vision made reality by the Prime Minister and by the government of Dominica.
The Deputy Prime Minister believes Dominica is getting a good deal and that these housing development projects are unmatched in the region.
Because since 2006, you've been hearing about our housing revolution, and this really is an extension of the housing revolution. And before 2006, housing was never a major integral part of the distribution of portfolios. It was hidden somewhere in the Ministry of Communication, Works and Housing. It was always the tail of some bigger and brighter ministry. But recognizing the challenges we had in housing when we got into government in 2000, we created after the 2005 election a special Ministry of Housing. And many people didn't understand what that meant at the time. But today, this signing ceremony we're having is a manifestation of the vision, again, to create a housing ministry, to give it its own feet, its own hands, and its own legs, that we can execute and bring to the people of Dominica decent housing. So today's signing ceremony is supposed to be a reminder, apart from everything I've said before, of where we were as a people, post-Erica and post-Maria, where we are today, with many of those housing developments already on the roll. And I'm saying that to say this is not just a vision or a dream, this is conversion to reality. Where if you go on any one of the sites this morning, you will see that work is progressing at various stages and in various forms.
The contractors say everything is in place for on-time delivery of the housing projects.
The slated delivery dates at the moment, and we have complete confidence in this, is that commencing from June next year in Castle Bruce through to December next year on the East Coast, everything will be completed and handed over. In Georgetown and Picard, we anticipate and are confident in July 2019. Cotton Hill, we are confident in September 2019. For Roseau City Square, it will be 12 months from commencement. So, given the present status, we anticipate a completion there no later than December 2019.
In other top stories, 57% of Dominica's room stock has been restored to export-ready quality 1 year after Hurricane Maria. Executive Vice President of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, Kevin Francis, says the accommodations sector is slowly but surely growing its room stock ahead of the next tourist season. Insurance payments posed a big problem to the sector getting back on its feet, and Francis is happy to report that 1 year later, the majority of properties have gotten payments from the insurance companies, though the amount given was below expectations.
One of the things that was a big issue for the DHTA, was insurance. There was also, a lack of confidence in the industry as well. Since that last update, a majority of our members have been able to, square away with the insurance agencies, albeit not what they want, But I think some progress is better than no progress. In that way, as it relates to that, anyway. But for the entire industry, especially the accommodation sector, I think it's been reported that we've had about 57% of our rooms restored. That's the amount of stock that we have, and a big portion of that is going to come from some of the larger hotels, right? I know that, take for instance Fortune Hotel. Fortune Hotel is currently finishing up the rest of their rooms. Fortune alone, once they're done, you may be able to bring us up to 60%.
DHTA membership covers 3 categories, namely accommodation providers, tourism services, and related tourism services. Before Hurricane Maria, the DHTA's membership stood at 120. Following the hurricane, however, it dropped to 75. Francis says his mandate for the year is to get all hotel properties on board with the association.
A lot of our members are still battling with whether or not they're going to be opening. A lot of our members are still doing renovations. They're still considering whether or not that's something that they want to continue to do. I will say, though, that we have had a drop in our membership. But right now, my main focus this year as the EVP is to increase our membership. We have just about 75 properties, certified properties. And it's my goal to ensure that all these properties become members of the DHTA. And I understand that while it's important to think about where we are post-Maria, I think what's more important is what are we going to be doing moving forward, because we have an opportunity to do everything differently.
The DHTA Executive Vice President says, moving forward, the association will advocate for its members to engage in more strategic practices to develop more resilient businesses.
One of the more important pieces of advice I would like to give to the membership and other tourism stakeholders is be prepared. There's a lot that can be done and saved if we take a strategic approach to things. So that would include having your disaster management plan, having contingencies for the continuity of your business, the saving of information and ensuring information is backed up, and generally, moving to a more electronic-based system.
On to education. Secondary school principals around Dominica have been challenged to have an open-door approach to education to develop a stronger school system. The comments came from Assistant Chief Education Officer Dr. Jeffrey Bless when he addressed secondary school principals recently.
I want to call on schools, more specifically secondary schools this morning, to adopt an open-door approach to excellence in terms of teaching and learning, to ensure that we share best practices, to ensure that we develop a community of practice where teachers can share ideas, can share expertise, and can share their success as well as their challenges.
Dr. Bless called on schools to share their already limited resources to build a more robust school system.
We also need to adopt an open door approach to students, because I know that we have in the past been looking at a school system, more specifically a secondary school, as exclusive of only the students and teachers belonging to the school. But we want to have an approach where other students can access facilities and resources in schools, because a true system is dynamic. It's about networking. It's about we sharing our resources to maximize the benefit of the resource allocation. And I want schools to start thinking of how can we as a system, how can we as individual schools extend our resources beyond our immediate student and teacher population. We are one system, and as such we have to ensure that we maximize the limited resources that are made available to us.
On a more somber note, former Member of Parliament for the La Plaine constituency is being described as a true son of the soil.
Hesketh Alexander, who served the La Plaine constituency on a Dominica Freedom Party ticket from 1980 to 1995, passed away in the United Kingdom on Monday morning. Current Member of Parliament for the La Plaine constituency, Peter Saint-Jean, said a lot was accomplished under Alexander's watch as MP for the area.
And it was under his stewardship that Delis, Whittaker and La Plaine saw the first real massive improvement to the road network from Pont-Cassé onto the La Plaine School Junction. That was redone under his stewardship. And for the first time in our history, the roadway from the La Plaine School Junction onto Point Mulat was actually sealed. Before then, we had these tarish roads. And I should also venture to say that it was under his stewardship that in December of 1986, electricity, for the first time, the residents of La Plaine, Delis and Whittaker, and of course the south, east and east of Dominica, we received electricity. And again in June of 1987, under his leadership, we received again the telephone service.
Alexander served as Minister for Agriculture, Land, Fisheries and Cooperatives during his first term in office. During his second stint as MP, he served as Minister for Community Development, Housing and Social Services, and his third and final time as an elected Member of Parliament, he served as Minister for Immigration and Labour. Saint-Jean says after Alexander's active career in politics, he still helped to develop agriculture in his community and across the country.
Mr. Alexander had a passion for agriculture and the soil. And when he retired from active public life, he set up a model farm around his residence in Delis, an expansive farm, and he focused on pineapple production. In fact, he was one of the pioneers of setting up the Pineapple Growers Association that really targeted the certain farmers who did exceptionally well in growing pineapples. I think that the people of the La Plaine constituency, that is Whittaker, Delis and La Plaine, will always remember the contribution that Mr. Alexander made, not only at the local level, serving on the local village council in Delis as parliamentary representative, but also at the national level.
The late Hesketh Alexander was 76 at the time of his death. He had also served as president of the Sacred Heart Conference, which operated the House of Hope in Delis.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Welcome back. UWP candidate for the Soufriere constituency, Dr. Sam Christian, was back in Soufriere on Monday, attending a church service and visiting with the people. Dr. Christian received medical attention after he sustained a head injury during a public meeting in Soufriere on Saturday. Mr. Christian has refuted suggestions on social media that he was impacted by falling construction debris from a nearby building. He says he sustained the injury to his head at another location where a tent had been set up for the meeting. It was there, he says, that he felt the impact of what he believes was a rock on his head. Channel 5 News spoke with Dr. Christian on Monday.
If anything fell from the building, any object fell from the building, it would have struck the galvanized awning, which is about 3 feet wide, and it would have protected anyone underneath. So the object had to be projected sideways, several feet, about 10 feet, to strike me in the head. And the fact of the matter is that other people across the street were also struck, by stones on their legs. So hopefully we'll get these people and they will give their own testimony as to what really happened. And this is my head that was struck. The fact of the matter is I think it's political mischief to go about saying things that are designed to shield the perpetrators, the guilty people. I have gotten an outpouring of calls and concern and prayers from across the island and around the world, really, from all parts of the political spectrum, except from the Labour Party. Now, in any civilized country, I would think that a politician, if suffers a mishap, that you express some concern, regardless of whatever the situation was. Not that I'm holding my breath, but it suggests to me that there's some sort of, calculation going in there. But that's not the problem. It was an act of intimidation, we believe, and it hasn't prevented me, because less than 12 hours later, I was back in Soufriere, attended Mass with His Eminence Cardinal Felix, and spoke and went about and visited people of Soufriere and took pictures of the area to confirm what we already knew, that there was no way something could fall from that building, and select my head alone.
Saturday night's incident is now under police investigation.
The police, I must say, are investigating the matter very vigorously, to the best of my knowledge, and they are pursuing certain leads, and by the grace of God, we will identify the perpetrator. And so all this discussion and indecision as to what exactly happened to Dr. Sam in Soufriere on Saturday night will be made all clear. But at the meantime, we just need to go about our business, doing what we have to do, and God will make a way.
So essentially, just to restate, it is not a fact that you were struck beneath or near the house. It was around the tent where you all were speaking at that time that it happened.
That's correct. And I was brought and I was made to sit down, and they attended to me, and I had to follow medical advice, except when they said that, you're not going to speak. I said, no, I have got to speak. And speak I did, and I spoke, I think, forcefully and defiantly.
Police have launched an investigation into the tragic death of Ruford Peter Joseph of Marigot. Mr. Joseph was killed in an explosion at the Marigot Fisheries Complex on Friday.
The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force is investigating the death of Ruford Peter Joseph, also known as Frankie, male 61 years of Marigot. The deceased was burned to death from an explosion which occurred at 3:50 p.m. on Friday 21 September 2018 at the Fisheries Complex in Marigot. According to the information from a fisher at the scene, Joseph was servicing a fishing vessel named Infinite, which he used to conduct his fishing trade. The fishing boat was on a slipway about 10 feet from the water's edge when a loud explosion was heard and fire was seen spurting from the vessel Joseph was on. Fisher folks attempted to extinguish the flames and were shortly thereafter supported by personnel of the fire and ambulance service, who were able to bring the fire under control. After the smoke cleared, the lifeless, charred body of Joseph was seen lying on his back in the rear of the vessel. The district doctor was summoned to the scene. He examined the body and pronounced it dead. The deceased was transported to the Lyndhurst Funeral Home by personnel of the Northeastern Funeral Home. An autopsy is to be conducted.
To the family of the deceased, Mr. Ruford Joseph, who died in Friday's tragic fire in Marigot,
Marpin News apologizes to you and all those offended and hurt by the presenter's statement in more important news as a lead-up to the next news item which followed. We in no way intended to convey that the second item was more important than the first, that is the death. Our viewers have informed us that this is the impression which was given. It is not what was intended. Our deepest apologies to all concerned.
To end the news, the headlines again. Government signs contracts for multiple housing projects already underway on the island. Police investigate incident in Soufriere on Saturday, which left UWP candidate Dr. Sam Christian injured. And former Member of Parliament for the Lapland constituency, Hesketh Alexander, has died. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.